Hello everyone, I'm Dave Hatch from TSN's Motorcycle Experience, and I'm here to talk to you today on the after show with my good friend Nathan Naslund from Deeley Harley-Davidson, Canada.
Hi Dave,
Nathan,
good to be here.
Thank you for joining us on the after show. Nathan and I are very, very dear old friends. Nathan is a dear friend of mine. I've known him for a long, I've lost track, but at least 25 years.
Yeah, it'd be about that because I moved to Ontario about 25 years ago and probably met you right off the get-go.
Yeah, so we're buddies, but we also work together in that, you know, Harley-Davidson Canada, Deeley Harley-Davidson, are our sponsor now of Motorcycle Experience. And we're a sponsor of Motorcycle Experience right back in the very first days of the show, back in 1989. Trev Deeley and the folks at Deeley's were one of our first sponsors, so just wanted to mention that. Still grateful. But you know, in the after show, we can talk about anything, Nathan, and what I thought, given your experience and just how long you've been riding, I thought we could maybe talk today a little bit about innovations. You know, I'm sitting here looking at your motorcycle. This is your personal ride for the summer, and it's an Ultra, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and it just looks so retro. You pulled out a brochure from 1969. This is an Electroglide brochure from '69, and the silhouette is very, very similar. Not a lot has changed, but a lot has changed.
Oh, it's been so many changes in the industry over the years on the technical aspect, and really what it's made is the ability for the customer to actually, the owner of the motorcycle, to enjoy riding and very little wrenching anymore.
Right.
Because it used to be everyone needed a toolkit to go anywhere. It didn't matter what brand. I mean, I remember riding with some of my buddies that had some British products back in the 70s, and the rides were shortened sometimes because of carburetors coming loose and things like that. It was quite amazing. And then we saw, you know, when the Japanese really started coming in strong in the late 60s, early 70s, a lot of technology started ramping up, and a lot of changes came. But, you know, some of the big changes that, you know, because I actually made my living working on motorcycles at one time back in the early 70s, and that were things like when we went away from breaker points to electronic ignition. Reliable ignition components and that, because there used to be a lot of issues with that in the past. So that was one of the big things along the way. Obviously, when we went to fuel injection compared to carburetors, another big innovation as far as making the bike so much smoother, the throttle response, and just even with emissions and all that. So those are some really big ones on the engine management side, electronic ignition and then electronic fuel injection.
Right. I remember back in the day talking about needing to have cigarette paper to set the points, like as a measurement tool. So yeah, we've come a long way since then. So ignition, fuel injection, as you mentioned, that was a big deal. I remember when we started to sort of see sensors on carburetors, and then eventually we went to full-on fuel injection. That's probably been, what do you think, about 8 years now that we've had
a lot of
bikes with fuel injection?
Probably at least that. I mean, we saw a bit of playing around with it back in the mid-'80s when the Japanese brands asked or answered a question that nobody asked. And they all brought out these turbo models, and they all had fuel injection. So it kind of let us see a bit what was the future was going to have in store back then. And now, I mean, when I remember the days when you used to have to synchronize all those carburetors, especially on the multi-cylinder bikes, and all the issues that you used to have with it, and you know, if you didn't look after it properly, winterization, the gumming up of the little jets and everything, it was a lot of hassle a lot of times. So now with the fuel injection, it's just so nice, and it just works so well. It's really, really made it a lot more user-friendly for the motorcycles. And again, one of these things that have made maintenance, you know, just less time and less things that you have to look at when you're as an owner. I gotta say, it's quite a pleasure to go to a point now where you can just get on a motorcycle and push the button and not have to think about whether the throttle is open a little bit, or you know, whether you may have flooded it or not flooded it, and the choke, is it pulled or not. To be able to just push the button is nice. I think for me, the big innovation that I've seen come in over the last 25 years that's kind of blown my mind, because I distinctly remember seeing the first demo of it,
and that was on a BMW back in the day, and that was ABS braking.
Yeah.
I know there, Honda did a lot of stuff with linked brakes for a while, and they sort of said, this is the future, we need linked braking to be safer, and there was a lot of head scratching with the journalist, is it good, is it not? But that ABS, when I first saw a demo of that, somebody at speed on sand pulling the brake as hard as they could, and since then the adoption from everybody to go to ABS, I think that's been a major thing to see come on board.
Yeah, well, brakes in general have come so far from what they used to be when they were just drum brakes.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first really saw disc brakes come on in the early 70s, I think actually really the CB750 was probably the one that really brought that out as on a production bike. And then it just ramped through the whole industry with almost every brand going to disc brakes. And like you say, the addition of ABS and now link braking. ABS, and I mean, I know a lot of diehards out there think they can do better than ABS, and even there was a time I thought so too. But one of the things that I have really found and that I like the ABS about is because the road surface, you don't always know what's on that surface.
That's right.
And it can be a little greasy at times, and especially when a rain has just happened and that, and you think you're okay, but I've been surprised how many times the ABS will kick in, and I would have been skidding that front wheel if I had not had ABS on this big touring bike. So it does work, and it's a lot safer, because if that wheel had locked, there's a good chance you might have had an exciting moment.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. If I was given the choice, two bikes, one has ABS, one does not, I'm going to reach for the ABS every time because it has saved my bacon a few times. Again, for me, it's always been the fall. It's always been yellow lines or a little bit of something on the inside of a corner where all of a sudden, oh, geez, that would have been not so good.
Yeah, it's surprising. And I think where you get more of the people that are maybe don't feel they need it is they've had a lot of racing experience, but the track is so different than what you find out on the streets. And on the track, no, you wouldn't want it. I mean, that's sort of a different situation. Yeah. But on the roads, and the surfaces vary so much. I mean, out here, you never know what you're going to encounter on the roads here. So it's been a real plus as far as an overall safety factor, and is really, one of the technologies that have really come a long way over the years. And to the point now with link brakes, like this 2014 Rushmore model has, where, at over a certain speed, and basically it's just down in parking lot speeds at around 25 kilometers an hour that they aren't linked, because that way if you are turning sharp at a slow speed in a parking lot, you can just use your rear brake. Right. But as soon as you get over, I think it's like 25, 30 kilometers an hour, it kicks in, and it really makes a difference. And I've been doing some testing on this myself, just because this is the first bike I've ridden with link brakes, and I've been, again, thoroughly impressed how well it works. I mean, the technology really, really works, and it's safety for everybody, and that's one of the great things about the brakes that have improved over the years. Another thing too, lighting. Lighting, and that's I kind of chuckle with that, because some of the old bikes that I used to have, or the bikes from back in the day, the lights were what they were. I mean, they came out, and honestly, I think a coal miner's lamp on their helmet put out more than some of these bikes. But it was my step-grandfather one time for my birthday. He gave me a CB headlight. I don't know if you remember CB headlights, but anyway, he gave me one of those, and it fit right in. And at the time, I had a 305 Super Hawk, and it fit right in, and I just like, wow. I just went from this dim little yellow to this bright white at the time, and I was just like, right away, that was it. And I have never gone without having good headlights. And now motorcycling along the way has come a lot better with lighting, and what's amazing now, like the LED lights that are standard on this bike are, I mean, they call them the Daymaker. And I tell you, it's amazing. I mean, they're standard on the Rushmore model for 2014. In the previous years, like on my own bike, they weren't standard, but they are available as an accessory. And I've got them on my own bike too, because when you're riding at night, and especially more on country roads, there's deer around, all that, you just cannot have enough light out on the road there. So that's just been an amazing feature that's improved over the years for safety and that on motorcycling.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned the whole point of being out on country roads, because we're in the country right now where we're chatting. We're in a very rural environment, And deer, in the springtime and in the fall, deer is a big problem out here. And yeah, you want that as much of the road lit up as possible. And I do remember those days when you'd be riding along going, is my headlight even on?
Yeah.
You know? So, well, I guess, you know, we've spoken about ignitions and fuel injection. We've spoken about braking and ABS and linked brakes. And we've talked about lighting. And, you know, we could probably go on even further to things like heated seats and heated grips and all the things that have added to our comfort. There's even now, you know, TCS, traction controls. There's adjustable suspension modes. There's even fuel mapping modes. All of this stuff that's gone on to make our experiences just that much better and more pleasant. My question to you is, I'm a tinkerer, and I liked back in the day kind of tinkering with my motorcycle. It was part of the experience for me. You know, if I wanted to just get away from the world for an hour or so, I'd go out to the garage and tinker with my bike. You know, something mechanical would be in need, even as simple as lubricating a chain. Do you think we've lost anything by all of this, like the ability to tinker with your bike? I know that's a question that comes around once in a while.
Well, yes, they definitely do not require as much tinkering. I mean, my own, over the winter, I was, you know, doing some tinkering. As you can tell by my setup here, I like to tinker.
Yeah.
And it is kind of fun doing that. I mean, I've installed accessories and things like that allow you to do that because, I mean, with Harley-Davidson, I mean, there's just no end to the accessories. We got this big fat book here that's just, you name it. It's like, I refer to it like the Christmas catalog as a kid when you used to get the Sears or Eaton's catalog and going through. Well, this is mine for me, and you know, so there's that ability to tinker with putting new accessories and that on. But as far as the maintenance items that you're talking about, absolutely, it's not the same. That being said, you could just ride now so much more, you know, instead of all the tinkering. I mean, you can clean and polish and all that, and that's still kind of fun too.
Yeah.
And if I really want to tinker, I've got a few old motorcycles sitting over here that are just begging for me to start tinkering on them, you know, so.
That's true, that's true. Well, you know, you brought up a very good point. I guess when we talk about tinkering, this, I noticed you brought this out, is a genuine Harley-Davidson accessory catalog from 1968. It's about 10 pages. It's so thin, and it's hysterical to look at this because your options were so limited, right? In terms of accessories. You know, there's two helmets here, one with and one without a visor. And then if we look now, we're talking about 30, 40 years of evolution. Look at this. This is your accessories, and this is your motor clothes.
Yeah. So
this. Two tombs.
Yeah,
right?
Well, yeah, and you know what that has done. I mean, not just with the advances on the bike, it's been the advances in riding gear.
Right.
You know, that has made such a difference as well. Because I remember a friend of mine and myself going 2-up on my 350 Yamaha from, I was living in Alberta then, that's where I'm from originally, and we did a 2-up trip on a 350 in 1971 to Vancouver. I mean, a 350 was a big bike back then, you know, so never thought anything of it. We got caught around Banff in pouring rain. Our rain suits stopped at the closest Esso station and bought the green garbage bags, and that's what it was. You know, there really was hardly anything out there.
Yeah.
I think Belstaff made some stuff, but it was so pricey and not much of a selection. I mean, that was from England, and really no one was carrying that stuff around here. So, and now you look at the rain gear that's available and all the stuff that has made it more comfortable for you to ride, and if you're more comfortable, it's safer.
Yeah.
You're not thinking how dang cold you are or how wet you are and all that stuff, and you're able to focus a lot more, and you're a lot more alert and all that too. So it's really made a change on the way we can enjoy the riding with the, you know, tremendous improvements in riding gear and the safety of it. And I mean, like, look at how bright your jacket is and things like that. And we've got this 3M reflective striping in almost all the Harley-Davidson riding gear, and it's just bright like crazy when you have headlights or anything shining on it. So it's really come a long way.
Well, you know, I guess what we've really been talking about here in terms of innovation, whether it be ABS brakes or, you know, heated vests and layering up, you know, the jackets, it's all really enhanced our riding experience, allowed us to ride more, allowed us to ride longer in terms of our riding season, and allowed us to be safer. it's not so bad.
No, it's all but good.
It's not so bad.
It's all great.
Yeah. And because of all that, we just get to enjoy the open road just that much more. Well, this has been fun, and you've dragged out a pile of brochures. I want to just spin around and have a look at those from the late 60s, early 70s. But this has been fun. I know we've been a bit of a couple of old guys on the stools going down memory lane, but you know, when you think back, it's only been 3-4 decades. A whole lot of stuff has trickled down to those motorcycles. A lot of really high-tech, very cool technology.
And it's just made motorcycling that much more safer and easier to do, you know, between the gear and how easy the new bikes are to ride and all that too. So it's for anyone getting into motorcycling now, it's a lot easier to ride the bikes than it used to be, and you don't have to have a toolbox or anything like that really to enjoy motorcycling. Yeah,
well, we're still enjoying it. I know that. We're going to head out now for a ride, actually. So, Nathan, thank you very much for joining me on the after show. You got an awesome garage, nice set of wheels, and thank you for joining us on this week's after show.
On behalf of everyone at Harley-Davidson Canada, we'd like to wish Motorcycle Experience a happy 25th anniversary.